everybody. It is the Lymphedema Patient Roundtable, and we are so glad that you joined us because this is not just any other night. This is Lymphedema Awareness Month, so we are celebrating. Many of us, well, me particularly, broke out my teal blouse because teal is the color of lymphedema and lymphedema awareness. We have special giveaways and prizes tonight. Every 15 minutes, we're going to pick someone randomly from our attendee list, and you'll have the opportunity to win one of two beautiful handmade quilts by veteran fighting lymphedema, Kelly Bell's wife, who's off screen right now, Jen. Jen, we love you and appreciate you, and we are so excited that you have these awesome quilts that you handmade. And if anybody wants to hold one up to just get everybody stoked, that would be fine with me.
I'll hold one up.
Yeah. And we've got a lot of people weighing in right now. Hunter Hutchinson, hello, everybody. And we hear Jeannie Proctor, good evening from North Carolina. Good evening. And Elizabeth Castillo, hello, everyone. It's so nice to have you all there. I see many of you are logging on. Look at that quilt. One of you lucky people is going to win. Actually, two of you lucky people, because she made two quilts, and we're going to randomly pick winners. Barbara Gurman's here from Canada. Teresa Fitzgerald says that is gorgeous, and it really is. Karen Biles is here, and she has raised her hand. So if you have a question for us, feel free to put it in the chat. And we've got some more introductions to make here before we get started. We still see people logging on, and we're just so glad you're with us. Look, this is sponsored by LymphaPress. My name is Brenda, and I work for LymphaPress, and it's all meant to encourage you in your lymph journey. It can be challenging, but the folks here at the roundtable, professionals or patients just like you who are managing their conditions successfully, and we are all here to encourage you and to help make the load a little lighter. So let's get things started with some more introductions. I already introduced Kelly Bell, veteran fighting lymphedema. We have Catherine Rosenberg with us tonight. Catherine, who is a true LymphaPress fan. In fact, she's going to be speaking at one of our employee events that's coming up later this month. We so appreciate your testimony. Cancer survivor and thriver, with a great lymphedema story, and she always has great insights, and we're going to talk to her about central lymphatic imaging tonight. And then Betty Westbrook, certified lymphedema therapist, who is also one of the founders of Camp Watch Me, and she has some really interesting information that she's been delving into about medical trauma and how being informed about medical trauma helps her as a certified lymphedema therapist. So we're excited to talk to you about that, Betty. Then we also have Angela Jones, the woman who always brightens every screen with her gorgeous smile, brightens my feed on Facebook with the amazing recipes she comes up with. And she wanted to talk a little bit tonight about stress management. How many of you can relate to that? Whether you have lymphedema or not, we can all deal and understand that the topic of stress management is important for all of us. Alexa Ercolano, my partner in all things marketing at LymphaPress, is here. She is a lymphedema patient. But what you may not know, and I hope you do find out, is she is an amazing blogger. That's how I found her. She is one of the best writers I have ever met, and she does a blog called The Lymphy Life with many followers. She shares her vast knowledge about lymphedema, her personal journey, as well as new medical insights that come her way. And she is also very insightful, and she's going to share some highlights from a blog she wrote and published this recent month, I believe it was, and it was on what sobriety has taught her about lymphedema. So good, and I'm really excited for that. Plus, she has giveaways for us too. What do you got for us tonight?
I have a mug that says, "Ask me about my lymphedema, but let me finish my coffee first," a feeling we can all relate to. and then a hat that says Lymphluencer. So I will happily send these to whoever wins the giveaways. They're Lymphy Life merch, also available on my website.
I am Lymphluencer. Really? Gosh, you are clever. I just have, I'm in awe, my Alexa. And we also have yet another famous person with us, Karen Ashford, who is an amazing teacher of all things lymphedema. She is an expert in the devices, pneumatic compression pump devices. She gives great advice on everything from fibrosis to lymphopress and everything in between. Karen Ashford, we are delighted to have you with us tonight.
Thank you, Brenda. Hi, everybody.
Hi. All right. Are you ready? Buckle your seatbelts. We have plenty to talk about tonight. But before we go any further, my thought is this. Jen, would you like to pick a number from 1 to 46?
All right, so for the first one, we'll go with 6 in honor of World Lymphedema Day.
And our winner of the first amazing quilt is Barbara Roth. Barbara!
Yay, Barbara!
Yay! We're so excited to send this to you. I will need you. Alexa, would you mind putting in chat my email address so that Barbara can email me her address so we can make sure you receive this amazing quilt. We've got a winner every 15 minutes and we are happy to celebrate. You know, the thing is, with a condition like lymphedema, you could get bummed out sometimes. How many of you actually get bummed out sometimes? Of course you do, because it's challenging, right? Life is challenging. But there are things to celebrate, victories and insights and friendship and linking arms with each other. And that's what we're doing. Marilyn, we're so glad you're here from Ohio. We've got so many more friends. Stephanie Roach is here. Fantastic. I have a question from Teresa Payne. And I'm going to defer to our medical experts, Betty Westbrook and Karen Ashford, but if anybody else wants to weigh in with anecdotal information, feel free. Teresa Payne wants to know, has anyone had to face knee replacement or surgery with lipedema or lymphedema? She has to get both knees replaced, but she is worried that it is going to make her lymphedema worse. First of all, thank you for sharing that. We will send you lots of love and good energy and great vibes, and we want to know, what can we say without offering any particular medical advice? Any insights, either Karen or Betty, on this very good question?
Well, I can jump in because I do have patients with lymphedema and lipedema who are a little worried about surgery because it's normal after surgery to have an increase in swelling. That's part of the healing response of the body, is to have swelling. And if you already have lipedema and or lymphedema, it can prolong the swelling period. So I think that there are some things that you can do to prepare. And I would get with your lymphedema therapist and talk with them specifically about some programs, talk to your doctor, because if you already have some things in place, then it's going to be easier.
You know, we all have real life. We don't just live to do these Zoom roundtables. We actually have cats and dogs and wives and children. And so we totally understand, Karen, but we're on the edge of our seat. Finish your thought.
Okay, so I have so many resources for you. And the first one I want to give you, I give to anybody, not just people living with lymphedema or lipedema who are going to have surgery. There is a great book out there, and I will drop it in the chat. It's called Prepare for Surgery, Heal Faster. And it's written by a wonderful woman named Peggy Huddleston. And she's done research. So this book is evidence-based in terms of giving you an edge on having more success after surgery. So I'm struggling with not giving you lots of specific medical advice, but giving you lots of tools and strategies for helping. Other things, there's certain supplements you can check with if you work with an acupuncturist or a nutritionist that can help you with inflammation after surgery. You want to do everything you can to give your body the advantage to heal. One thing that I can recommend, just carte blanche, because it does not have any bad side effects, is a homeopathic remedy called arnica. And you can take it either as pellets or use it as cream. I recommend the pellets. They work really well right after surgery for a little while. Again, I would check with other people who know you and your particular picture to give you more specifics. But I feel like I'm monopolizing here. Betty, do you have any ideas?
Really good. And we don't want to overwhelm her, but could you spell arnica for us?
Yeah, I'm going to drop some of these guys in the chat. And then that way everyone will have that as a reference, because, this happens. Here you are lifing along and boom, all of a sudden a surgery, an injury, something. And so it's helpful to have these little tools in the toolbox to give you strategies.
I love, you always have tools in the toolbox. And I think the more, the better for all of us. Betty, did you want to weigh in on this question?
Yes, please. While Karen is putting some of those resources in the chat, I want to add that it would be really helpful to get ahead of your compression game and modify your compression garment. And by that, I mean a Velcro nighttime garment. There are some am I able to say specific brands?
Of course, go for it.
There's a tribute wrap that LNR makes, and it can come in a 2-piece garment that is foot to knee and then knee to thigh. And what that's really helpful for, specifically with knee replacement, is that you can wear your compression garment nighttime and or day if you choose with that one. It's primarily a night garment, and you can Velcro it up to the point of incision and then apply less compression over the knee incision. And because it's a 2-piece garment, you have a little bit of range of motion if you need some, if your doctor or PT is advising you in what you're safe to do. And then you can put the rest of the compression into the thigh piece. But you don't necessarily want to flat out stop your compression whenever when you've had a surgery, because there's a natural swelling that occurs with trauma and a surgery added on top of your lymphedema type swelling. You could get set back. So you just want to modify and know that, okay, there's going to be a time period where I'm not going to be, super down and decongested. I'm going to have some swelling come up, but I'm going to modify and I'm going to prepare so I know what my game plan is whenever your doctor releases you to go back into, say, short stretch bandaging or a Velcro garment that's a little bit more aggressive on the compression.
Well said. And I think that's excellent information. We have a bunch of questions and a bunch of people still logging on. I just want you to know, we're so glad you joined us tonight. We hope that you will be encouraged and inspired and educated, and maybe you'll even win a prize. We have another giveaway coming up in just a few minutes. Nazreen Starner, also a certified lymphedema therapist, has just joined us as well. We have quite an exciting group here tonight, but we have 2 questions that came in from 2 different people, but it's the same question, essentially. First, I want to ask those of you at the panel who have lymphedema, do you eat or drink just before using your LymphaPress? Do you eat or drink? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs down. You got a hand here. Is that a thumbs up or a thumbs down, Kelly?
I actually use it for me because my thoracic duct's blocked. You have to understand certain foods go through there, like it carries all your chylomicrons, your fats, and all your fat soluble vitamins go through your thoracic duct. So I actually use my pump a couple hours after I eat to help move that nutrients to my body.
Interesting. So you do prior to using your pump a couple hours. Now you were a definitive thumbs down, Catherine.
So I definitely don't drink before it because if I drink right before I use it, then I'm having to stop it and run to the bathroom. So I'd rather not do that. But just like Kelly, I do pump after I eat, but not immediately. It's got to be like 2 or 3 hours.
Okay. Good. And then you were meds.
I know, yeah.
Ercolano. What about you?
Well, I'll drink water. I'm a big water drinker, so I'll drink before, but caveat, run to the restroom, obviously, before pumping. And then again after pumping. But I have a big water bottle I always have nearby. So I keep that while I'm pumping, just to stay hydrated. And but I usually pump in the evening. So it's after I've eaten, anyway, but I haven't noticed, for me personally, any kind of correlations or discomforts there, but I definitely go run to the bathroom beforehand. That is key.
And that's a sign that it's working.
Exactly.
So, Angela, do you have any specific rule of thumb for your personal practice?
Like Alexa, I'll drink a little bit before and sometimes even during, but I don't eat. I eat maybe about 2 to 3 hours after or 2 to 3 hours before.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that's what I'm hearing across the board. So now for our medical professionals, what would you say about eating or drinking and the use of your lymphopress? Betty.
I would say it's probably preference. Obviously, I would rely on my lymphopress rep to, tell me if there's any data or research behind that as a CLT. But I would say it's probably preference. The one thing I usually do recommend to patients is to pump an hour before they're going to bed, because the effects of moving that lymph fluid does, result in needing to go pee, going to the bathroom. And you don't want to pump, go drift off to sleep, and then wake up and you're like, oh, I need to go right now. So I usually just tell them to give themselves a little time before bed, but nothing specific about eating or drinking.
Okay.
Do you ladies have anything to add on that?
I like Nazreen.
I think it's always just preference of what people like. Sometimes, depending on medications you might be on too, that might alter eating or drinking what you'd want to do as far as getting into the pump and not being able to get out of it for an hour. That always is something you want to look into. But again, preference of patients. I completely agree with Betty.
Body feels good for you may not feel good for someone else. Karen, what would you like to say on this?
I agree. I agree with both of you. Can't add any more. It's perfect.
Okay, it's perfect. Drop the mic. We shall move on. So Sophie Hansen has a question. Her question is, anyone diagnosed with having chronic venous insufficiency? She was told that she needs venous ablation done. Is it safe with having lymphedema? Will it make it worse? Again, another medical question. Does anybody on our panel have chronic venous insufficiency? Okay, Catherine, you do.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know I had it until they did a procedure and they found out that I had it.
Okay. And is there any concern? And again, we're not offering, we love you, Sophie, but we're not going to give you medical advice directive toward your particular condition. But as a general rule, can a venous ablation be done when someone has lymphedema? Go ahead, Nazreen.
I have had patients have the ablations done and they've done quite well. I've also had patients who've had them done and thought that they did not need to wear compression anymore after the ablation, and then their swelling got worse. Because that is something, even if you don't have lymphedema with the ablations, most of the vascular surgeons do want you to wear compression after. So that's something I would talk about definitely with your doctor and ensure that you have the right compression for after surgery. And it may not be, if you already had lymphedema and were in compression, it may not be the same garments you were in. So maybe you were in a knee high, my phone, whoops, sorry guys. And maybe now you need to be in a thigh high. It all just depends. So I would definitely talk about that with your doctor. So I have seen patients have that done though and do quite well, but you just have to come up with a game plan of how you're going to progress afterwards.
Excellent. Okay. So we have another giveaway. Alexa,
Yes. Should we have them a package deal? Have
a
both?
package deal, I think. It is
Okay.
the Lymphy Life Prize package. So I need you to pick a number from 1 to 64.
Geez. Okay. How about 42?
Okay, I'm going to count 42. And while I'm doing that, can you please tell everybody about your blog, about sobriety and what it has taught you about lymphedema? And before you go there and before I count to 42, I just want to say I so admire your vulnerability and your honesty in sharing your story with your vast following, Alexa. Because you were brave enough to talk about your sobriety, it opens up the door for other people to think about it. Sometimes when we're coping with stress or problems in our life or a chronic illness, we can turn to ways of numbing it, and that's unhealthy. And you were brave and strong enough to say, you know what, I'm drawing a line in the sand. So I'm going to count to 42 while you share your story.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. So this January, I celebrated 10 years without alcohol. And one of the things that was surprising along the way was I learned a lot of lessons that I could apply also to my life with lymphedema. So one of them was it's not a one and done thing. Like cutting out alcohol didn't make all my problems go away. It made me face them. And similarly with lymphedema, just wearing my compression garment isn't enough to solve the problem or help me manage my symptoms. It's a combination of tools that I have to do. So that was one of the lessons that I learned. Discipline is more important than motivation is another tough lesson in life in general. I'm obviously motivated to manage my swelling, but that doesn't mean anything if I'm not compliant. And it's the same with living without alcohol. You know, you have to kind of keep at it every day, one day at a time, you know, applies to both things here. Something that helped me, and I shared it in my blog post, is I do like a habit tracker. So I keep a bullet journal. And one of the things I do is I track my lymphedema symptoms, and I'll show an example, but I'll track like when I use my pump or my measurements. Here's one for this month, and, you know, just kind of like a little way to keep myself accountable. And that really helps. And also just knowing that it's not always going to be perfect. I'm not always going to be doing totally fine and never struggle with either the sobriety or my lymphedema. You know, I have a support system in place for both. And it's important to lean on those and be real, but also gentle with myself with both of those things. And yeah, it's just every day is a journey for both things, but you got to stick with it. And one day at a time truly is the way. So.
And how many years has it been now for you?
10 years. Yeah.
10 years. And also that's concurrent with when you started your blog, right?
Yeah, I have the blog, I think 12 years, I think 2011 is when I started the blog. So maybe that's.
Well, we do. I saw Kelly applauding. I'm applauding. We think
Thank
it's
you.
very inspiring. And I think it's a great blog post for anyone to look at and a great blog to follow. And we have a winner.
Good. Number 42.
Drum roll, please. Drum roll, panel. Our winner is Rhonda Kilman.
Congrats, Rhonda.
Rhonda, we don't know where you're from or who you are, but guess what? You've got Lymphy Life swag coming your way for Lymphedema Awareness Month. If you don't mind reaching out to me, bviola@lymphapress.com with your mailing address, we will make sure you get your Lymphy Life prize package. And you know, what you were talking about there, Alexa, also spoke to how do we manage stress? And that's been something on your mind, hasn't it been, Angela?
It has. I tend to invite stress. And stress is actually defined as being overwhelmed or unable to cope with either mental, emotional, or physical pressures. And I found several ways to handle my stress. And it seems I invited at least 4 times a year an overwhelming stress. And that comes about as traveling back and forth between 2 homes. So I have to learn to manage that. But I think the most important thing I've learned about how to manage it is awareness and mindfulness. And I've learned that you have to be aware of what stress triggers are for you. And you have to be aware of how to either avoid them or confront them. And I find that the best thing for me is to confront them, because then if they try to show up again, I'm ready for them. So I just want to say that the best thing to do is, identify what your stresses are. And one of the other things that can be done that I find helpful is to just be quiet, to just sit and just listen to what's going on in my head, and just try to find out what those triggers are, why they showed up. Do I enjoy the triggers? Because I've also figured out that sometimes stress is a comfort zone. Comfort zones are comfortable because we know what to expect in a comfort zone. Nothing new is expected. We don't have to do anything extra. We're familiar with them, so they're comfortable. So I've learned too that for me, stress can be a comfort zone. So I take a lot of time. I just recently started back to school, which may not be one of the smartest things I've ever done, but it certainly has been a stressful one. And I've learned that sometimes stress is not bad. Sometimes it's a good thing because it teaches you a lot about yourself too. So my advice to anyone who is experiencing stress or planning to invite stress, just be mindful. Be mindful when it enters your life. Don't panic. It can be either acute or chronic. If it becomes chronic, get some help, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Angela, there was so much wisdom and so many nuggets in all the things that you said there. And for someone who has the gift of gab, not talking and being silent and sitting in it. Barbara Gurman's saying, yes, Angela, quiet is very healing.
It really is.
And sometimes I literally have to force myself to just stop.
Well, I find that when I'm in Arizona, I'm just here. There's nobody else here. When I'm at home, everybody's there. And I'm kind of like a sounding board for everybody. So I'm carrying my stress and their stress. So you have to isolate sometimes.
Yeah, very good point. Thank you for sharing that. I so appreciate it. We have a few more questions that are in from the audience. Sarah Williams wants to know, does anybody use the Lympha jacket? And do you need help getting in and out? And I have to tell you, one of the things about the Lympha Press line of garments is their ease of use. But are you asking as someone who has the garment or as someone who's interested in the garment? Because I think we can say across the board, Lympha Press is therapy that's easy to live with, and it was built for real life, yours. So we create the garments, and they have been designed by a leading vascular surgeon so that you can do it yourself. One of the things Kelly Bell said when he first got his Lympha Press Lympha pants was, I don't need any help. I can do it myself. And that's the pants. Now you learn the way to do it. You put your pants out and then you shimmy in and zip it up, as Pale Ginger Pear says. Lympha jacket. Does anybody on our panel have the Lympha jacket? Okay, I have video that I want to send to you, Sarah Williams, to show you how easy it is. Karen, I know that you're an expert on the Lympha Press garments. Is there anything you'd like to say about the ease of use and needing help to get in and out of our garments?
Thank you, Brenda. I think that the jacket is very versatile, and that it's possible to unzip both hands up to the armpit. And so you can use both hands to help get in and out. And some people don't necessarily need to treat both hands. And so I have patients who will leave one hand free so they can be on their phone, or, makes it easier to get out of it. So I would say that there are lots of different ways of using the jacket, and that the patients that I have had use it have never had problems. So I think that there's, like Brenda said, that lots of good resources showing you different ways of using it. Yeah, I love the bilateral jacket. It's a wonderful thing.
So I'm going to do something a little unprecedented for me, because technologically, I'm not always the sharpest tool in the shed, but Jeannie Proctor, I know you're out there, and I am going to allow you to talk. Can I hear you, Jeannie, give your testimony of how you like to use your jacket, and is it easy to use?
Sure. I have lymphedema in both legs and my left arm and left torso. The left arm and torso is from breast cancer treatment. And so my lymphedema is pretty well controlled. So I usually kind of alternate, use the jacket one night, the pants the next type thing. But the jacket is very easy to get in and out of. Now, I only have the left arm in place, but you know, I do all of it by myself, no help. And the zipper along the side makes all the difference in the world, because you can have the side of the arm, you can unzip the arm before you get in it. And then the last thing I do after I get everything hooked up is to zip up the arm and hit the button.
Zip up and hit the button. That's about as easy as it gets. Jeannie, thank you so much for sharing and jumping in. And I'm going to do another unprecedented thing. My friend Blanche Pepitone is out there. Blanche has been posting on social media and everywhere. Whenever she gets a chance to talk about her LymphaPress, she's got upper and lower extremity garments. Blanche, I'm going to allow you to talk for just a moment. Would you mind talking about the jacket and the ease of use?
Yeah, I can't really talk.
Oh, no problem. No problem. But I saw you give a thumbs up about the jacket. So we always love you weighing in, and we appreciate your support. So I'm going to just move right on, but I'm just incredibly proud of myself for letting people talk. Nazreen, jump on in.
I was just going to say, I've had a patient or two who've had limitations with their shoulder range of motion, and we have, or also our reps have helped them make like little toggles onto the zipper. So just an extension, so they're able to grab it easier. And that goes the same for the pants too. So just a little bit of an extension. So if it is something where you have a limitation in range of motion, you know, you could always ask your therapist. I'm an occupational therapist, so we like doing all that creative stuff. So just kind of getting a little bit more help with figuring it out. You know, your therapist or your representative could probably help you with that too.
Perfect. Love it. Oh, go ahead, Betty.
So an easy hack, and I don't have one near me. I have one, someone here, I saw it earlier. It's just like a lanyard. So you can clip it on to the zipper end. And so the clip is secure. And then there's a loop of whatever that fabric is, and you can zip that on your end. I have had people who have poor hip range of motion, or if they have a larger abdomen and it's harder to reach down and grab it. The LymphaPress pants by far are the easiest to get on and off yourself without the assistance of that. But if you need a little extra oomph, I think a lanyard, you just clip it on and you have a little extra hook there to give you some length.
Appreciate it. If you are out there and you are not using LymphaPress to manage your lymphedema, please contact us. We can get you connected with your local compression therapy consultant. In fact, we have a few out there in our audience tonight. I see Mike O'Brien. Hey, Mike, he's Catherine Rosenberg's rep in New Jersey. Yeah. So, you know, we'd love to connect you with our compression consultants, because number one, they really care and they will help you. They will make it easy. They will walk you through. And then after you get your pump, you get all of us. Every month, we're here to help and support and encourage you along the way. So we hope that you will take advantage of that. Barbara Gurman has a question, and she has an allergy, a skin sensitivity to compression and other fabrics in her lymphedema affected arm. Is there any advice or help that we could offer to her without giving medical advice? But when you have skin sensitivities and compression garments, Catherine, can you speak to that?
I can, because I have skin sensitivities and allergies to certain compression. So what you really need to do is to really have the reps from the different kind of compression garments that there are come to your therapist's office or doctor's office, so you can be able to touch and feel the garment in just a small area of your body, and preferably not on your lymphatic limb, so that this way, if you're going to have a reaction, it's not going to happen on that limb. and really, because different companies use different materials, and there's even different materials within the same company, so that this way you can really kind of get an idea of what may or may not work. And a lot of times, if for some reason you do develop an allergy within like 30 days of the garment being made, the garment company will work with you to get it rectified to a different material that will work for you.
Fantastic. Can I just tell you that one of the most interesting things about tonight is how wildly active our chat is. I am so enjoying all of the comments. Sarah Williams says, great cheat ideas to all of you. And people are saying thank you to Blanche, and Barbara's saying, I mean, there's just so much chat going on, and we just love that. She, also, Barbara follows up and says she thinks she has fibrosis where it is sensitive. And you're nodding again, Catherine.
Yes, I have that as well.
And my resident fibrosis expert is Karen Ashford. So does that complicate matters?
Yeah, boy. Well, everybody is very individual, and fibrosis can, that plus skin sensitivity. What a perfect storm. And I'm sorry, Catherine, and I'm sorry, Barbara, that you guys are dealing with this. And I believe there are so many solutions out there. Definitely addressing the swelling first and finding, like Catherine says, all the different hacks and tricks and different ways to do that. I will say that for patients who have difficulty tolerating compression garments, that doing extra lymphopress treatments can be really, really helpful, because lymphopress can really give you a very, very good decongestion, and that might change the picture in terms of what you need or what you can tolerate in terms of compression. And also using lymphopress is very, very helpful for fibrosis, in addition to all sorts of other clinic treatments. But I would say that as someone that loves talking about fibrosis, using pneumatic compression, especially with a good quilted compression, is one of the very best things that you can do.
I interviewed a woman this week. Her name is Carol Moody, and she had another pump in her prior life years ago, and she got the lymphopress, and she has always had issues with fibrosis. She said, I am moving lymph like never before. I have my quality of life back thanks to this at-home therapy. And that's what we're here for. We want you to get better. We're not just like, just deal with it. What's great about the lymphopress is therapy that will work with you. And as you get better, it will progress with you. It fills to fit. So as your limb reduces, it still will give you the compression that you need with those overlapping chambers. We're just super excited that we have an answer to help you manage your lymphedema. Now, other people want other kinds of answers here. So I want to first mention, Catherine, you had central lymphatic imaging done. And I think a lot of people in our audience would be interested to know what the heck that is.
So I had been in the works with the central lymphatic imaging since, Kelly, was it August we started talking about it with me?
July,
August. And in September, October, I had really started having a problem after I would eat with my abdominal region swelling and not going down. So eventually I finally had got, actually right before our last roundtable, I had gotten the phone call that I was going to get imaged that Friday. So I went to University of Penn, and I saw the doctor, which Kelly had talked about, which is Dr. Max Itkin. And he did the MRL on my central lymphatic system. He wasn't expecting to find very much, because I didn't necessarily always have all the symptoms that they're looking for. However, in the end, it wound up being a lot more than we anticipated. I actually have a obstructed thoracic duct that it has about 5 or more extra collateral lymphatic vessels growing out of it. So, and those are all obstructed as well. So 2 weeks ago, they went in to try to do an angioplasty to open back up my thoracic duct to give my lymphatic flow better flow. And that's when they found out that I had all those extra vessels. So what's actually going to happen is they're actually going to do a lymphovenous anastomosis on my thoracic duct in June to give it a new pathway so that my flow can actually work properly.
This is actually a real breakthrough.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. And I think it's wonderful that each of you share your individual journeys and the things that you're learning and discovering, because there are answers. What may not have even been conceived of 5 years ago now is helping people. And one of the questions that we have now that's come in from an anonymous attendee is about something that has emerged in recent years, and that is the lymph node transfer. Her vascular, or his or her vascular doctor, recommended the lymph node transfer. And I know, of course, Nazreen, you are affiliated with the Cleveland Clinic and Dr. Wei Chen and all the amazing work that's happening at Cleveland Clinic. Is there anything that you could speak to about the lymph node transfer?
I have to say, I've actually never seen Dr. Chen do a transfer. I'm not, not that he doesn't do them, but I haven't had
microvascular surgery,
and he does. I mean, I know in the past he has. I was just saying that I haven't seen those, but I have seen lymph node transfers in the past. And unfortunately, the patients that I have seen them on have also had to have liposuction long term. And there's been several, but it just hasn't had as good of an outcome as we had hoped. So they had to do the lymph node transfer followed by liposuction. And I don't think that's the case for everyone, but these were all lower extremity patients. I don't think at our location that surgery itself is performed as routinely as it had been, just because they do have other surgical interventions that they can do, like the LVA or the, I don't even know how he says it, mites, whatever, mites.
I think it's
right. Mites. So since there's other interventions, they're not really focusing on that, or at least I'm not seeing them in clinic. But the lymph vessel transfer, or lymph node transfers, I should say, that I have seen in the past, I did not see the best outcomes. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the surgeon, wherever you may be at, might not have really great outcomes. Or if it's a completely different part of the body too, that could be a completely different outcome.
Yeah, I think that's really wise that you couched it with, just because you observe some things doesn't mean that's across the board. I know it's very important to do your research and to find the right person when you're having any kind of a surgery. Betty and Karen, is there anything you wanted to say about the lymph node transfer?
So I just added into the chat, I interviewed Dr. Chen on Lymphedema podcast early 2021. And we had about a 2-hour phone call where I grilled him on lymphatic surgery. And I'll be really honest, the reason why I was so rough in a way is because I was trying to find a hole, a fault. I was trying to catch him in a lie. I'll be so honest. And I even told him, I was like, I'm trying to break you. I want to know if this is legit, what is the data coming out, because I think that promoting surgery for I'm using air quotes because even he will too, for a cure, or using surgery as a way to tell people that this is going to so significantly reduce your lymphedema that you don't need CDT, MLD, compression, all these things, is really misleading and has caused a lot of damage to other individuals in the past. So I grilled Dr. Chen. I love Dr. Chen. I could literally text him right now and say, hey, what's up? And he'd be like, hey, how you doing? So I grilled him so hard. And this is why the conversation is so long, because we talk about lymph node transfer and the history behind it, where it came up, how it was like a miracle surgery at one point, and then there were a whole lot of kind of side effects that came along. And Dr. Chen will not perform lymph node transfer. That is one surgery he no longer does, based on people having it and coming back eventually saying, undo it, put it back the way it
Wow.
was.
Wow.
I don't want this. And so he does lymph vessel transfer if you're a secondary lymphedema patient in some cases, and then LVA for either for either primary or secondary patients. So I'm not saying this, as medical advice, obviously, because I am not Dr. Chen, but you can hear his own words and his approach on the surgical history and kind of where it's going now. So he can just kind of break it all down for you there.
That's such a great resource. And I'm really glad that you asked the question, anonymous attendee, and I appreciate the answers. They're excellent. We're behind. We said we were going to give us something away every 15 minutes, and LymphaPress has a prize package. We've got an I Love My Pump t-shirt, and we got some pens and some notepads and some other goodies. So I need Angela to pick a number from 1 to 66.
19.
While I count to 19, Kelly, can you talk about the Learn Virtual Walk?
Yes, the Learn Virtual Walk is Sunday, May 15th. It's going to be an in-person and virtual event, I should say, because they're actually going to do a run walk at Artesini Park in Boston on Sunday the 15th, and then they're going to have a virtual program on Monday the 16th. And so that's where you need to go to lymphnet.org to learn about the event. And I'm going to kindly put in a link to my page to support me
link
on my virtual walk. Me and my team, join my team on
well, see, we would never ever want to compete against the veteran fighting lymphedema, but LymphaPress also has a team, just saying. And
just saying,
it's
support
a
Kelly's
great
team.
I might accidentally
support veterans fighting lymphedema.
Alexa,
two of us,
oh no,
but there's
Jess, wait, are we gonna have, this is a smackdown at the round table. Alexa, were you about to say something? Pray tell.
I was gonna say I might accidentally trip and post our link to the fundraiser in the chat.
I was actually thinking about having a lymphedema patient roundtable team. So if anybody is interested in that, when Alexa sends you an email afterward, let me know. But also we will send you Kelly's link too, because not only is he the awesome veteran fighting lymphedema, he is winning the Heroism in Political Activism Award from the Learn organization at the virtual walk. And we are praising him and applauding him. Kelly Bell, you have turned the lemons that you have been handed into lemonade and helping so many other people. And you really are a hero when it comes to political activism. We couldn't be more proud of you and more grateful for you. And we have another winner, and that is Francis.
What a time to freeze.
Did you freeze right when you announced the
Calendar
winner?
in there. We are gonna.
Brenda, you froze right when you announced the winner. It was quite the
You're
cliffhanger.
kidding. What a cliffhanger. Am I back?
It was Francis.
The winner is Francis. Wait, I just had her right here. Francis Graham, I believe, is the name. Francis. Well, where'd you go, Francis? You were
here.
number 9. Tell me I have to. Francis Graham. Francis Graham is the winner. And you're going to get lots of LymphaPress goodies. And we appreciate you, Francis. And we are so glad that you were with us tonight. And so Francis, I need you to email me at bviola@lymphapress.com, and we will send you your prize package. That's so funny. I didn't see myself freeze, but you all did. Isn't that interesting? All right, we're in our last 15 minutes of this amazing roundtable, actually the last 11 minutes, and we still have one more quilt to give away. But Betty, you wanted to talk about medical trauma. You've been digging into that, so let's talk about that a minute.
Yeah, so for Lymphedema Awareness Month, all of March on the podcast, which is also my return for season 3 of Lymphedema podcast. I've been on a break. I really use that time to research some not so talked about topics, like mainstream topics, but it seems like these are some of the conversations that patients are having together quietly in this little corner, or you're trying to talk to your doctor about your mental health and support for your spouse and other things along the way with lymphedema. And so I really took some time to interview a licensed professional counselor who specializes in medical trauma therapy. And I'm going to share some of our points from our conversation, but she made a great point. And I'll tell you, it came from a moment at camp last summer where a mother who had a baby that was born with lymphedema, she said this. She said, my son is 4 years old now. And from the moment he was born, he came out, he cried. They took him away from me. I did not get my son right away. And instantly my shoulders drew up towards my ears and they haven't come down since. She said, I feel like I live in a constant state of like this. And so that I was a new mom at the time and I just started crying, and I cry every time I think of that moment because I can relate to that as a mother. But she says that children who have medical conditions, it could be any medical condition. It could be they fell and broke their arm and had to go to the emergency room. And the way that they experience the emergency room, the way that the lights, the smells, the sounds, the things like that, they internalize that. And that can be a form of medical trauma. So many people who have a chronic illness, i.e. lymphedema in this case, that is ever evolving, that you're fighting and advocating for yourself. You're often a guinea pig. Let's run this test. Let's do this scan. Let's check this. You can become, I don't want to say a victim, but that's the word that's coming to mind, to where you have essentially like PTSD surrounding your medical care. And so I'm going to add some points that Allison shared, that if you're listening tonight and you have a long-standing history with lymphedema or any sort of chronic illness, things that may be a sign that you have or you are experiencing medical trauma can be intrusive thoughts. And these thoughts can be about yourself, about your body image, about your worth. To the point to where some people become suicidal. Their intrusive thoughts are self-harming. You can have avoidance of people, places, treatment, to where you're just like, I am not going, I'm not doing it, I've been there before, and you just avoid. Emotional avoidance of taking care of yourself and addressing the grief, the anger, the denial, the frustration that comes with lymphedema. And then you can become hyper aware. Everything is an emergency. Everything is 911. Everything is going to be fatal. And so she gives points to help CLTs and other medical professionals be more trauma informed. I had a patient who used to cancel on me all the time. I was so frustrated with her. You're wasting my time. You're wasting my other patients' time. I could be getting people in here. I was really upset that she canceled all the time. But looking at it through this lens of she could have been avoiding because of her medical trauma. She was a cancer survivor. She could have been going through something else that she was facing that I wasn't sensitive to then. So as a therapist, I am opening my eyes and my understanding of what people are going through, and how children can often have parents. So their parents can have medical trauma through their child's medical treatment. And so that's often needed to be addressed, because I think there's a statistic of 20 to 30% of parents who have a child with a chronic condition or that are born with an illness, they have internalized medical trauma also.
Wow.
So I will post all these things because there were so many good points. It's a 2-part podcast series, and the last episode went out today. And it's just really great information that I think could help so many people be trauma informed about themselves and in their practices.
It can help explain some of the things that you're feeling. You know, your
Mhm.
feelings are an emotional guidance system. They are sort of like that warning light, the engine warning light. And if your feelings are overwhelming or you have those intrusive thoughts, our message to you, and you know, I'm not a mental health professional in any way, but please know you are worth it. You are worth being good to yourself. You are worth taking care of yourself. You are worth thinking kindly of yourself. I hope that every person out there watching tonight and listening that's hearing this will let that in, because you are worthy. You are worthy of good things, of good help, of hope and dreams and new tools to manage your condition. And there are new advances. I was thinking, gosh, I'm sure Mike O'Brien, who is on the call tonight, could weigh in on this as well. Years ago, we were still educating so many medical professionals about what lymphedema even was. And now it's well known. And now there are even more advances and medical procedures and surgeries and tools to manage, and the LymphaPress, the most advanced pneumatic compression on the market. There is hope because we continue to strive together to get better. And we're all about making life better. Everybody that's here, and certainly my entire team at LymphaPress, it's about making life better. We hope that tonight your life has been made a little bit better by the conversation. I have deep heart bows for our audience. Everyone from my friend Nita Cluis, who always adds so much, Nancy Breland, Renata Schnitzer, Rhonda Kilman, who won a prize. But wait a minute, Kelly, our last quilt, our second and amazing, beautiful handmade quilt needs to be given away. And so I need, who wants to pick the number? Karen Ashford, can you pick a number from 1 to 63 before we close the evening out?
33.
All right, I am going to count till 33. And while I do, I want each of you to say something to encourage our audience. And I'm going to start with you, Alexa. Give some encouragement. And then
Okay.
you, Catherine, and then you, Betty, and then you, Nazreen. And then I should be caught up to 33.
Okay, starting with me. Gosh, I would say to continue with my theme from earlier, take it one day at a time. You know, each day is a new opportunity for a fresh start. So if you're struggling today, don't let that get you down. Don't feel like it's over, you've given up. You know, you can just rest, get a good night's sleep, start again tomorrow. You know, every day is a second chance. So that's my encouragement for today.
That's beautiful. Catherine.
My encouragement would be to not be afraid if a therapist or a doctor uses very large words with you that you are unsure of, and don't be afraid to ask what they mean, because some medical professionals do assume that all patients have a very broad knowledge, and we can't always assume that. So we want to make sure that we are not afraid to stop them and ask questions if we're not understanding what's actually being said.
Because you're worth it to stop them and ask questions. Beautiful advice. Betty Westbrook, what is your word of encouragement to everyone? We have to be quick about it, but go for it.
Community. I think the encouragement I want to give you today is just seek community, friendships. And if it's not easy to come by, forge it, because it's worth it. And making space for yourself and bringing in people who support you and encourage you is a lifesaver.
That's awesome. Nazreen, word of encouragement.
There is help out there, and there's lots of people who do want to help you. So if you are frustrated with where you've gone in the first place, just keep looking. And there's many of us out there who want to help you get better and feel better.
I love that. Karen Ashford, and then Angela, then Kelly.
Don't ever give up and just keep asking questions. If you don't get the answers you need, keep asking.
Beautiful. Angela.
To piggyback off what Catherine said, the back burner is for POTS. Speak out for yourself. Don't be on the back burner.
Drop the mic. Angela, man, how do you follow that, Kelly?
Alexa, that's your next coffee mug.
Yes.
There you go.
As someone said, find your peace. I spent a year in therapy finding my peace, to get rid of that anger, the stress, and because it's all bad for you. So find your peace, whatever it takes.
And we have our final winner of the night. Drum roll, please. The winner of a beautiful handmade quilt by Jen Bell is Lorna Bryan. Lorna, please email me at bviola@lymphapress.com. I want to thank my amazing panelists, our wonderful guests. I know I say this every month, but this was really my favorite Lymphedema Patient Roundtable. You were amazingly involved, engaged. Thank you for showing up. Tell your friends we're here every month, the second Tuesday of every month at 8 p.m. We thank you. And remember, in closing, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. So with that, I'm going to be quiet. Have a great night, everyone. See ya.